So our first speaker is Eva. So hello, Eva Gutierrez. She's from Spain, and she's an activist, a feminist abolitionist, member of the international coalition Ciams, the international coalition on the abolishment of or abolition of surrogate motherhood, an independent researcher specialising in reproductive exploitation and the egg trade. She's published various articles in digital media in Spain and participates in talks and presentations to raise awareness of the abuses of the fertility industry. And just for those of you who didn't know in terms of the declaration, that we are very clear in the declaration that we oppose surrogacy.
Today, I would like to talk about the trade, especially in Spain, as this is a real issue here. We are aware of the global threat from the industry, the constant harassment in the media to legalize reproductive exploitation in all its forms. News are constantly coming out about the latest acquisition of any celebrity, a Kardashian, for example. That photo making skin to skin with a newborn while the mother is completely erased. We women have been educated for centuries for dedication. In dedication, we are caregivers for love and with little pay, if we are lucky enough to be paid. But there is a function that only women can do, and there is no distinction between trans or CIS. Only women can provide life. Only we have a uterus, and only women can produce the supercell, the ovum. The ovum is the largest cell, the one that transmits the mitochondrial DNA, the one that chooses and corrects the best sperm. New studies are constantly coming out that increase the importance of female gametes. They are limited, finite, therefore when we are in the womb, in other mother's womb, all the follicles that can become eggs are already formed when we are there. Hundreds of thousands that will reduce their number and quality over the years. And there we have a niche market that industry is not going to let go. They are selling us that we can be mothers whenever we want, as long as we have the money. But today we are going to talk about what happens when you are the raw material in the industry. Recently, we were shocked by the Scottish government announcement encouraging young women to donate their eggs. Well, in Spain, in universities, social networks, public transport advertising, this is constant. This is every day. We are the second world power in egg providers, only behind the US, and the second world power in assisted reproduction clinics. 11% of the children born in Spain are through assisted reproduction techniques. We are the favorite destination for reproductive tourism in Europe. 10,000 fertilization cycles each year only to foreigners, mostly Italian and French. But we also export to other countries. 60% of the material used in Europe has a Spanish origin. Ovobank, the largest egg bank in Europe, is Spanish, and you can buy and send gametes to any country in European community. And why? First, publicity. According to the law, economic compensation cannot be mentioned, but it is done. Another cause is precariousness, low salaries, lack of aid, the price of rents, and the main reason, the one most used by the agencies, altruism. Altruism? In France, it is altruistic. Nobody donates because it's not paid. The most incredible thing is that the altruism is an argument also used in the US, where they have even paid $250,000 for a single cycle, for just one time. For just once. In all this publicity, they talk about compensating for the inconvenience. But as it happens in surrogacy, if there is no product, there is no money. If they don't have the ovums, the eggs, they don't pay you. Unless there has been a negligence on the part of the clinic. In a case that that woman herself come to us, told us they overdosed her and they paid after rushing her to the operating room for the inconvenience, or rather to avoid the complaint. They overdosed her, so the owns get the double size that it should be. The reproductive exploitation of a trade has been regulated in Spain since 1988, but is breached systematically. You cannot publicize the compensation, but it is done. There should be a register of donors, but since 2018, it's in the implementation phase. Normally, providers are paid about 1,000 euros. That is the minimum salary. Considering that the labor market is precarious, the price of rents, university fees, etc., many women find in the sale of their eggs a solution to their problems, a little help. Every year, 15,000 women become providers to pay the bill or to pay the rent. And how are those eggs sold? The clinics have a long list of requirements: age, weight, skin color, eyes color, hair color, educational level, personal and family medical history. So they cannot be daughters of gamete donation. When you pass all the filters, they make you feel that you are the chosen one, a superwoman, a fairy who's going to make other women's come true, other women's dreams come true. And you go through a multitude of tests to see if you are a good product. Donors have to sign a contract, an informed consent in which they explain the few risks that are known. Because, incredible, there are no studies on the medium and long-term effects on the hormone pump that these women are injected with. There are studies on the short-term effects. The effects are easier to report. They give you hormones to produce 20 eggs in a single month, but they can get more. They can 40, 60 or more in a single cycle, just in 1 month. And how is this process? Women who sell their eggs have to be injected with hormones for about 2 weeks. And that hormones make them ovulate 20 times more than is normal in a single cycle. If women can already have painful or annoying cycles, and many of us feel pain or discomfort when ovulating normally, you can imagine what happens when your ovaries are suffering so much stress. You have to go to several controls to monitor how the process is going. And when those eggs are in the right size, they are extracted under sedation with an ovarian puncture, a hormone pump, and a minor surgery. Almost nothing. Let's talk about the side effects. The most common is the ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome. The side effects of this syndrome are ovarian torsion, abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, blood clots, decreased urination, shortness of breath, distended hard abdomen, weight gain of 1 kilogram per day, more or less 2 pounds. But you can also have other side effects like endometriosis, anxiety, depression, internal bleeding. There have been reported cases of partial paralysis, reaction to anesthesia. One woman in Spain died because the reaction to anesthesia, cancer, breast lumps, hormonal disorders, infertility, early menopause. In our country, in Spain, we have a long tradition and education about altruistic donations. We are leaders in transplants, but the only donations that are paid for are those of gametes, and they are mostly under private control. We have one of the most permissive legislations. The anonymity of donations is defended to the death by the Spanish Fertility Society. The Spanish Fertility Society is a private entity that controls the industry with the support of health ministry. And this anonymity goes against the superior interests of the minor, the child who results from this marketing, that baby that looks so cute in the advertisements. But when this baby grows up and wants to know about his origins, it is impossible. The recognized human right to know his identity has been asserted, and in addition, he has been the object of a contract. Fortunately, there are several associations of adults born from gamete donation at European level and worldwide. And in Spain, one has been recently created. In 2019, they filed a complaint in Geneva. Donorkinderen from Belgium and Spenderkinder from Germany, on the occasion of the 13th anniversary of the International Convention on the Rights of the Child. These associations are formed by adults who were born for surrogacy and or gamete donation, and who claim what every human being has recognized at birth: the right to identity, the right to family relations, and the right not to be bought or sold in any way. And that includes the commercialization of gametes. The reason, the excuse for this business, of all this business, is to form a family, and the rights of the most defenseless part, the newborn, are being violated. In Germany, egg donation is considered reproductive exploitation and it's forbidden, like in Switzerland. In Norway, it's considered contrary to maternity and contrary to the best interest of the child. In Sweden and Denmark, a woman can only donate eggs left over from her own fertility treatment because it is considered a dangerous process for the donor. In most countries, anonymity has been eliminated, like in UK, sorry. They pay a compensation about £750, and in countries like France, they pay so little that nobody does. Curiously, in Belgium, where there is no donor registry either, is one of the countries that contemplate a compensation higher, up to €2,000. I say curiously because many scandals related to assisted reproduction processes has been reported. I don't know if you know about that doctor that it was using his own sperm for years with his patients, and nobody knows. And afterwards, it was discovered that he had dozens of sons of daughters of his own patients. We know that this industry organizes fairs offering illegal business in Germany, in Spain, in France, and nothing is done. In our country, we can already imagine what would happen if altruistic or commercial surrogacy were legalized. We will be the fan of Europe. Right now, and thanks to the work of feminists like Berta Garcia, Omnia Somnia, and Twitter, finally the Spanish government has declared it's going to do something about the advertising of surrogacy, which is already prohibited by law, but nothing was being done. The industry, we repeat, has a lot of power. The main ally is the pharmaceutical industry. So we know that this could be one of our main enemies. There is egg donor market. Egg donor market. What a perverse term. Well, this donor market is valued only in Europe in more than 1,200 millions of euros, and it's expected to reach the double, 2,400 million euros by 2027. We double North America with 450 million in business. Of this market in Europe, Spain accounts the 40% of reproductive students, and some research indicates that more than 60% of the eggs used in assisted human reproduction in Europe come from our country. We have seen how they keep trying to legalize surrogacy in Portugal, Colombia, Argentina, and they have succeeded in Cuba. They create the market, they create the need, they disguise it as inclusion, and then they introduce the commercial option. In Canada, they continue to talk about altruism when it is not direct payments for foreign bank accounts. What about studies and research about this practice? Well, there are more studies demanding research than studies per se. There are studies questioning informed consent, and there are studies questioning anonymity. For instance, there is a study of September 2020 about the donor-informed consent, and there was some conclusions that were very relevant. For instance, 55% of donors felt poorly informed about the long-term risks. Second, clinics tend to minimize, as a matter of course, the risk they face. And third, which was the central theme of the study, it calls into question how informed consent can be given if there is no reliable, contrasted information on the medium and long-term effects. For example, ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, one of the few risks recognized by the clinics, the clinics speak of an incidence of 1%, but in reality, this incidence can be as high as 7%, according to other studies, and can be from moderate to severe. Of course, some of this study based their conclusion on data from women recipients who are undergoing fertility treatments, who have a very different response to the hormones. There is no follow-up of these women, not a single control. The only study I have found in our country, in Spain, is a telephone interview with 121 women, which almost sounds like a joke, about whether they had long-term side effects. The minimum should be a complete checkup every 3 years, a follow-up of your health, not an interview about whether you had problems getting pregnant or whether you would recommend another woman to sell their headaches. Right under our noses, they are buying eggs from the most precarious women, and they call it generosity. In many countries where legislation has been passed, irregularities have been committed, and none of these women's health has been monitored. They play with a very strong desire and with the social pressure to be a mother. And they take advantage on the fact that women have always been educated to help and serve others, to make sacrifice. But when you look at the data and see the number of extractions, you cannot help thinking that every year, there are 15,000 women in our country who make a decision. Sometimes they know the consequences, sometimes they don't. There are those who do not suffer after effects, but there are also women who have gone through and continue to go through terrible experiences, and others who have not told about it. And no, dear sisters, no matter how much they repeat, it's not altruism, it's exploitation.
Could you tell us how you link up with ICAMS, the International Coalition?
The X-ray is the little sister of surrogacy. So the first step when a couple or with any person decides to buy a baby, that's all. First, they choose the egg provider. The egg provider, you can choose it. For instance, in Ukraine, you can see a catalog with photos and the bio and everything. And the US is like they have even an Instagram profile. There are agencies that only search for a type of provider. For example, there is one of the most important and the most expensive is only for Asians customers. And so this is the first step is that when you buy an egg, it's something very curious, because you want to buy a baby. So they say the surrogacy, the mother, the woman you are using to carry that child is using another woman's egg. So she is not the mother. But according to Spanish law, you are the mother. At the end, who is the mother? The one who pays.
How about young people in Spain? Are they aware of what you've just explained?
They're not aware because this issue has not been treated in as it should be in the last few years. We noticed because about the publicity. In every university, there are a lot of information about selling your eggs and about the economic compensation, and in social networks. Afterwards, you begin to investigate and you see there's a real problem here. But as it was something legal and it was something that was regulated, nobody noticed about it. But really, we are trying to inform young people because here in Spain, you have a limit to sell your eggs. You have to be 18 to 35 years old, and the media is 25, 20 years old. That is more or less when they're in university. There are girls that have paid her studies selling their eggs. That's horrible because it's supposed you can do it only 6 times in your life. You can say you can go to Madrid and afterwards to Barcelona, and that clinic doesn't speak to the other, and you can lie.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
you can do it more than 6 times.
That's so terrible.